one day. I am gone for one day. And everybody goes crazy. Lord have mercy. And with that, hi, how are you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. Welcome to the Thursday night edition of Chattin on the Porch. A fun little live stream that we do 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Thursday here on internet land. Out in internet land is probably the better way to say it. Talking about the news, talking about the views, giving you our takes, hearing everybody else's takes, trying to look at each other and saying, it's going to be okay. We're going to make it through this crazy thing called life. We are on Rumble, we are on Twitter, and we are on that quaint little alternative social media platform known as YouTube. So if you wouldn't mind, please do some favors. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so. I would genuinely appreciate it. Number 2, hit the thumbs up. Mr. Algorithm looks favorably upon me when you do that sort of thing. He likes to boost my reach, and I'll take all the boosting I can get at my age. Also, hit the bell for notifications. I want to make sure you're always aware when new stuff is coming out. And please share the link around, be it on Twitter, on Gettr, on Gab, on Truth Social, on Facebook, wherever you are out there on social media. Share it around and say, hey, this guy might look crazy, but he actually knows what he's talking about. At least we think he does. Anyway, again, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. Welcome in for this Thursday night session of Chattin' on the Porch. Glad to have all y'all here. We'll be seeing who's in the house here momentarily. And it's going to be a good night, people. It's going to be a real good night. Usually is whenever we hang out together. Let's see who all's here. Well, we will here in a momentarily. Love all you guys. Glad you're here again. This is Chattin' on the Porch. We're on Rumble. We are on Twitter. We are on YouTube. So please help a brother out. Share the link around. Tell your friends to get on in here. And let's hang out for a little while and talk about things. WWG1 says, you don't look as crazy as you really are. You're good. Well, I appreciate that. You know, glad to know. Glad to hear. Wait a minute. Anyway, glad y'all are here tonight and glad y'all are hanging out with me and I'm hanging out with you. And we're talking about things going on in the news. And it's been, I tell you what, you take one day off, and just all Cain breaks loose. And boy, have we got a bunch of stuff to get into tonight. Some of it from yesterday. Some of it really, really popping just right in the past few hours. And I'm not sure if I want to save some of that for the weekend or if I want to get into it now because it's just so daggone juicy. For those of you in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it looks like your boy Shapiro may be out. And for those of y'all living out there in Arizona, it looks like your boy Kelly might be in, according to reports from up in Connecticut and various other people. Let's see who else is here tonight. TBA says, hello, Fedora Nation. Says, Wingnut number 1 is here. Wingnut number 2 will trap you in. TBA says, you got to be careful, Brian. Wingnut number 2, which is WWG1, will trap you in a briar of confusion. TBA also says, I go away for 2 hours, all hell breaks loose. I know! That's what I'm saying. I go away for one day and just nuts out there. Just nuts. Bonsoir, my dear. And hello, lovely lady. Let's see. Being crazy and knowing what you're talking about or not. Yeah, I mean, Alex Jones has made a career out of it. Oh, goodness. Yeah, it's good to have you here, small time. Oh, my gosh. Lots of stuff going on tonight. Lots of stuff. Okay, so first of all, I want to give a shout out right now to my good friend Tracy Barkley, the proprietrix of the YouTube channel known as Keto and Crime. She had me on last night for a recording of a movie review, which I'm not sure when she's going to post it on her channel, but as soon as I know, I'll pass the details on to you guys. So wait a minute. WWG1. Oh, okay. WWG1 took down his own message. Never mind. I won't read it. Gypsy says the news sucks. Yeah, ain't that the truth? But I want to thank Tracy Barkley from Keto and Crime for inviting me on last night to do a movie review. I tell you what, she has got a plethora of movies that she loves to do reviews on. And the one we did is called Conspiracy. It's a movie that HBO made back in 2001. And man, it has got an amazing cast of actors. Kenneth Branagh, Stanley Tucci, Colin Firth, among many, many other great British actors. And it tells the story of how it was that the Germans, and more particularly the Nazi Party, came to the decision on how to solve the Jewish question. And I tell you what, you talk about a movie that is a study in evil. So, yeah, it was really just amazing. Just amazing. It was really extraordinary. And we did about an hour's worth of commentary on it. Like I said, just as soon as I know when Tracy's posting that on her, the movie is called Conspiracy. Just one word. It's a one-word title, Conspiracy. It's from 2001, and it is, like I say, it's probably one of the best films I've seen in a while. I'm surprised I haven't seen it up to now, but it's I really recommend it to you guys. And if you're in a good mood, do not go and watch Conspiracy, because this movie, it'll do two things simultaneously. One, it will make you think, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But two, when you realize what they're doing, it will absolutely bring your mood down. The movie is called Conspiracy. And good evening, Darius. Glad to have you. Yeah, they filmed it primarily in a chateau. And it's one of the things I found amazing about the film. You wouldn't think that a 90-minute film that revolved mostly around people sitting at a dining room table, which really that's what it was. It was a conference table, but you may as well say dining room table. Sitting around a dining room table for a 90-minute movie would be that compelling. That's just how good the script was, the acting was, the dialogue, everything about that film. So if you get the chance, go watch it. So just saying. But yeah, as soon as I hear when Tracy's going to post that on the Keto and Crime YouTube channel, I will pass that on to you, because I tell you what, it is a fantastic film. Really good. I found it on Amazon Prime. If anyone wants to go get it, you can rent it for like $4 or something like that, but worth every minute of it. It's a great film. All right. Let us get into some stuff. Oh yeah, the movie will absolutely piss you off. It will absolutely piss you off for so many reasons. And there's one question. I mean, there's a lot of questions that get asked, and I don't know that we ever come up with any answers, but there's one that ran through my mind. How empty is the soul of a human being when it reaches the point that you don't even question the morality of so drastic an action as was debated at that conference? It's just amazing. Oh, it's not necessarily a Hollywood brand. They're simply telling the story of what happened. And it really is. It's just a remarkable film. But I mean, your choice. If you don't want to watch it, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, it's an amazing film. Truly is. Truly is. All right. Let's get into some stuff. I've got a subject that might be about a day or so old. And when the news broke, there's all kinds of reactions to it. But I think in the end, it's going to lead to a problem. It's going to lead. Well, now, this isn't necessarily a Hollywood rewrite. I will say this. I mean, from what I know about the subject, this isn't necessarily a Hollywood rewrite. Maybe they took a few liberties with it. I don't know. As again, it's not necessarily my total subject area. But from what I understand, they stayed pretty historically accurate. And Tracy is an expert on this subject, among other things related to Nazi Germany. because it's one of her historical hobbies, and she said it's pretty accurate. So that I will say that much. Anyway, something happened Wednesday that to me points to a problem that Kamala Harris, the presumptive nominee of the Democrat Party, and by the end of this weekend, she will be the voted upon nominee because the virtual nomination process is going on right now. They're taking the vote. They are taking the vote right now online, the Democrat delegates. They expect to have it wrapped up by Sunday night. And hang on one second. Okay. Sorry about that. No, I was not picking my nose. Anyway, something happened on Wednesday that is going to start pointing out a problem that Kamala Harris is going to have to address. And on its face, you wouldn't necessarily tie it immediately to the politics of where we are in this election with about 95 days to go. But the event opens up a lot of avenues of conversation. So let's just dive right into this. This is from the New York Post. 9/11 mastermind KSM and two other terrorists awaiting trial on Guantanamo Bay strike a plea deals. Story by Larry Salona, Caitlin Dornbos, and Chris Nessie. We have the following. The alleged mastermind of the September 11 terrorist attacks and two other terrorists being held in Guantanamo Bay will be spared the death penalty under a deal with prosecutors, it was revealed Wednesday. The announcement was a bitter pill to swallow for victims' families who have anxiously awaited the conclusion of a case for nearly 24 years, many of whom felt death was the only appropriate punishment for the perpetrators of heinous attacks. A spokesman for the Office of Military Commissions, which is prosecuting the case, confirmed it had entered into pre-trial agreements with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the accused principal architect of the al-Qaeda attacks, and two alleged co-conspirators, Walid Muhammad Salih Mubarak bin Atash and Mustafa Ahmed Adam al-Hawasi. Don't ask me to repeat all that. All of whom have been held at a U.S. military prison on the coast of Cuba since 2003. Yeah. Anyway. Quote, in exchange for removal of the death penalty as a possible punishment, these three accused have agreed to plead guilty to all the charged offenses, including the murder of 2,976 people listed in the charge sheet, said a letter signed by Rear Admiral Aaron C. Rugg, chief prosecutor for the OMC, and sent to the victims' families on Wednesday. Oh, God. You sent a letter to announce this? Jesus. Anyway. Amazing. News that the death penalty was no longer on the table for the suspects, whose alleged actions killed nearly 3,000 in the worst terror attacks on U.S. soil in American history, came as a gut punch to victims' families. Quote, I am very disappointed. We waited patiently for a long time. I wanted the death penalty. The government has failed us, said Daniel Delarara, whose twin brother John was one of 23 NYPD cops killed the day of the attacks, told the Post. Retired police officer Jim Smith, husband of Maura Smith, the only female NYPD officer who died on September 11, said he felt like he'd been kicked in the balls. Quote, the prosecution and the families have waited 23 years to have our day in court to put on the record that what these animals did to our loved ones. They took that opportunity away from us, the anguished widower said. They committed the worst crime in the history of our country. They should receive the highest penalty. Retired cop Kathy Vigiano, wife of NYPD Detective Joseph Vigiano, who was killed on 9/11, said, quote, "I am angry and disappointed that enemy combatants who killed thousands of Americans in our homeland are now able to exploit the U.S. judicial system to their benefit, receiving support from American taxpayers for shelter, food, health care for the rest of their lives." The guilty plea hearings to charges including murder and conspiracy could take place as early as next week, with the sentencing hearing expected sometime next summer, according to the letter obtained by the Post. The OMC letter revealed that the terrorist suspects had also agreed to respond to any questions the family members of the victims have regarding their roles and reasons for conducting September 11 attacks. Oh, like that's a fine consolation. Jeez. Moving on. Family members were told that they were allowed to submit questions, which would be funneled to the men through their defense attorneys and answered within 90 days. It was not immediately known where the men will be incarcerated following their pleas. Terry Strada, national chair of the 9/11 Families United, a community of families of people murdered in the attacks, said some of the relatives wanted a plea deal because they wanted it to end after waiting for justice for more than 2 decades. Quote, "But for me personally, I wanted a trial. I want them to be found guilty. I want them to be punished accordingly," said Strada, whose husband, Tom Strada, a 41-year-old bond broker at Cantor Fitzgerald, was in the North Tower when the planes hit and he was killed. Describing the terms of the deal, Strada said, "We'll take off the death penalty. You say you're guilty, and you get to live in Guantanamo Bay until you die. I've been there," she added. "It's a lot cushier than it would be in a maximum prison." Okay, I think you guys get the general idea of all this. So I have some questions. First of all, what are these 3 animals still doing alive? You mean we haven't already tried them? Seriously? Zippy over on Rumble says the revolution never ends, comrade. Communism is not progressive enough, so the Dems want to go full Islam. Why are these 3 animals still alive? And thank you for the Rumble rant. I genuinely appreciate it. Why are these 3 animals? Why haven't we already had a trial? Now, I could maybe understand the argument that says, okay, we've kept them alive for military intelligence purposes. Okay, all right. Let's think about that for a minute. They have been captured and off the grid since 2003. So we're talking, what, 21 years? Okay, whatever information, and again, this is just my perception of it. I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not listening to what they're saying, etc. But it seems to me that being disconnected from their brothers and sisters out there in the Holy War, at least from their perspective, after about maybe 5 or 6 years, any intelligence they have would be otherwise useless. Because by that point, people would be changing routes, changing plans, cutting them off. I mean, if they did know anything about future attacks past the time of their capture, sooner or later, that information becomes useless. So again, I ask the question, why are these 3, why haven't, we're just now after 20 years taking these guys to trial? Why? I do not understand that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, like I said, if you were bleeding them for intelligence, that's one thing. But at some point, what is left for them to give you? I mean, I would understand a few years after 2003 just bleeding them for all the intelligence they've got. But after their usefulness is done in that respect, put them on trial and do whatever you're going to do with them. Okay? Well, and that's exactly my question. How much could you get out of them after 21 years? So that's my first question is, why haven't they already been put on trial? My next question that I have is, Why in God's name did the government of the United States agree to take the death penalty off the table? Now, I'm just going to tell you where I'm at on this. I'll tell you where I'm at. I'm very old-fashioned. I do believe in the death penalty. If you take a human life without justification, and justification to me is a question of self-defense, or you've taken a life in the defense of your country in an act of war, if you've committed murder with malice aforethought, which is what these three jokers did, I'm sorry, death penalty's on the table. And I'm not really particular about how we do the death penalty. Firing squad, hanging, poison, I don't care. Your life is forfeit. These three animals took the lives of 3,000 Americans, innocent Americans, going about their lives, trying to live their lives, going to work, traveling. And yet, the government of the United States takes the death penalty off the table. Now, like I said, if there were some kind of rational justification, like, again, if you're like, okay, they've got a piece of intelligence we really want to get our hands on, okay, I could see not that I agree with it, by the way, but I could see dangling the death penalty, the absence of death penalty out in front of them as bait to get them to tell you what you want to know. Like I said, I don't agree with it. You did the deed, you get the punishment that accordingly goes with it. You took a life without justification. You've been found guilty of it. You did it with malice aforethought. Jury of your peers finds you guilty beyond reasonable doubt. You get sentenced to the death penalty. It's just that simple. All right, I might give you X number of appeals. If maybe there was something wrong with the trial, okay, could give you that. But that's about it. Punishment stands. After you've exhausted however many number of appeals you're going to get, that's it. You are summarily executed. Period. End of discussion. And after 21 years, almost 25 years now, from the actual commission of the act, and 21 years being captured, we're just now taking these three jokers to trial, and we just took the death penalty off the table. Unbe-frickin-leavable. Now, who was it? Oh, yeah. Okay, let's get into that. Let's get into that. I found it here in the article, and hang on. I'm looking for something. Yeah, here's exactly what I'm looking for. This is from that New York Post article. Soon after news broke of the plea deal, the White House issued a statement through a National Security Council office distancing itself from the agreement. Quote, "The president and the White House played no role in this process. The president has directed his team to consult as appropriate with officials and lawyers at the Department of Defense on this matter." Okay, so we're now throwing the DOD under the bus for this one. Now, granted, military court is handling this matter, but I'm sorry. I mean, you're trying to tell me the White House had no knowledge of this and had no heads up? And let's get to another possibility. If they did have a heads up, Why didn't they stop this? I don't care if it has been almost 25 years since September 11th, 2001. That's 3,000 American citizens who were murdered. Cold-bloodedly murdered. A plan, according to this article, that KSM hatched with bin Laden as far back as 96. That's how long they were working on this deal. And now one of the biggest, most gut-wrenching decisions affecting the lives of thousands of surviving family members. And the White House has no knowledge of it, didn't know anything about it, had nothing to do with it. If this is any questions related to this, please refer to the Department of Defense. Really? Wow. Zippy over on Rumble with a Rumble rant. Thank you very much for that. Bargaining chips, trade them off for soldiers or trans pothead basketball players. You make me want to rant. Well, okay, sorry about that, Zippy. But yeah, I mean, this thing stinks to high heaven. Absolutely stinks. And believe me, when it came out, the White House was doing everything it possibly could, or I should say, people were giving the White House as much cover as possible. I've got a statement here from Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor. Give me a sound check. Let me know this is coming through okay. Let's listen to this.
I want to ask you about the plea deal that was reached with 9/11 suspects by military courts down in Guantanamo. Republicans are condemning this as showing weakness and calling it a sweetheart deal because it avoids a trial and the death penalty. I was wondering if the administration has any response to that.
As we said last night, the White House received word that the convening authority had entered these pretrial agreements that had been negotiated by military prosecutors with KSM and some of the other 9/11.
But why? Why did they reach this agreement? I mean, what could possibly justify the military lawyers prosecuting this case to take the death penalty off the table from three men who, if you put them on trial, it will not take long to prove their guilt? 3,000 American dead. We've held them for over 20 plus years. We're about to go to trial, and now all of a sudden we wake up and decide, maybe we shouldn't do the death penalty. Their lawyers talk to the government's lawyers. Nah, no death penalty. Why? Why, after 21 years, are we doing this? Anyway, back to Jake Sullivan here.
Defendants. And we had no role in that process. The president had no role. The vice president had no role. I had no role. The White House had no role. And we were informed yesterday, the same day that they went out publicly, that this pretrial agreement had been accepted by the convening authority. What the president did upon learning of that was direct his team to consult as appropriate with officials and lawyers at the Department of Defense on this matter. Those consultations are ongoing, and I have nothing more to add at this time.
Okay. What are you consulting with the lawyers over the DOD? What are you asking them? Because I'm telling you right now, you better be asking them, why the hell are you guys taking the death penalty off the table? I'm sorry. Now, I can just see some people that are let's just say they're even reasonably anti-death penalty. Okay, they're probably looking at this wild-eyed country boy and going, "Oh, come on, front porch, you're just out for blood." Yeah, in this case, you're daggone right, I'm out for blood. They killed 3,000 of our citizens. If they are found guilty of this in the court of law, no, you don't take the death penalty off the table. You summarily execute these SOBs. Period. End of argument. They get a fair trial. They are found to be guilty of murder with malice aforethought, guilty beyond reasonable doubt by a jury of their peers. You sentence them to death. You do not pass go. You do not collect $200. They're done. They will assume, as the legendary Rush Limbaugh said, they will assume room temperature, and we're going to help them do it. Do I necessarily want to be the person that pulls the switch if they get the electric chair? No. but I will have no problem. I will lose no sleep over the fact that we summarily executed 3 men responsible for the death of 3,000 American citizens. Oh, you're just talking tough. Okay, maybe I am. But I don't think I'm any more or less unreasonable than anybody else, especially families in New York who know about this story. I mean, seriously. Held them for 21 years. We're just now taking them to trial. And before the trial ever starts, pre-trial agreements are reached. They don't get the death penalty. And the president, the vice president, national security advisor, nobody knows about this until the government, the DOD lawyers go public with it. I'm not buying it. And let's just assume for a moment that they did not know about this. What I want to know is, what are they going to do about it? I mean, if the president of the United States and the vice president truly are representatives of the people elected to run the government of the United States, and hopefully, in a lot of cases, reflect the will of the American people, I want to know what they're going to do about this. Are they going to go in and tear up the deal? Are they going to go back to the lawyers and say, no, we're overriding the DOD on this one? Death penalties on the table. I want to know what's going to be done, because this is intolerable. This is absolutely intolerable. These guys killed 3,000. I know I keep repeating this, but it needs to be reminded. These 3 are accused of being behind the murder, the cold-blooded murder of 3,000 of our citizens. And our government is about to let them off the hook. Just unbelievable. Now, you got that story going on. And then, in the past 24 hours, we have any of the following. This is from Colonel Douglas Macgregor, a voice on foreign policy I love to listen to, because this guy's talking more sense than most people out there today. He's got a report, or it's being reported, and he retweeted it, that Lebanon is launching full-scale attacks on northern Israel. Oh, and I understand. I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I understand the pain and the agony that they're going through. Okay? There is no way that I will ever know what those people are feeling. But yeah, I'm not surprised they're not pleased about this. And I don't blame them one bit. Because, and I keep coming back to it, the decision to do this makes no sense on its face. Okay? Like I said, if this were like 2004 or 2005, all right, and we had just captured these 3 guys, and there was some piece of actionable intelligence that we were trying to get out of them, and we were trying to use taking the death penalty off the table as a bargaining chip. Now, again, not that I would agree with it, but I'd understand. That would make sense. But they have been locked up for so long. So long. There's no reason for them not to be charged with the death penalty now. None. Keep it on the table. So we got rockets getting launched off. You know, if what McGregor is hearing is true, Lebanon is launching rockets into northern Israel. All right, take that down, and we got other things going on in the world. We have Hamas accusing Israel of assassinating one of its leaders in Tehran. Ismail Haniyeh was in Iran for the inauguration of the new president. This is from Politico, and they tied into an Associated Press story. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh was assassinated in Tehran Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard said early Wednesday, and Hamas is blaming Israel for the attack. So we've got rockets being launched into northern Israel by Lebanon. We've got Hamas blaming the Israelis for the murder of a Hamas leader that was in Iran. Then top that off with the fact that we've got Iran and their allies planning a joint but limited retaliation strike against Israel. And furthermore, what else have we got going on in the world right now? I mean, we have got all kinds of stuff. And what is Kamala Harris's response to all this? I mean, we got foreign policy stuff popping off all over the world right now. What the heck is she thinking about it? What is she saying about it? What is she doing? Ladies and gentlemen, I'll show you exactly what she's doing. Take a look at this.
Thank you all. Madam Vice President, will you be meeting Evan and Paul when they return? Thank you all.
And up the stairs she goes. Now, the question, if you did hear it in the background, a reporter was trying to ask her about there's another story going on right now. The release of prisoners being held in Russia, particularly a Wall Street journalist, Evan, I forget what his last name is, but after some years of being detained by the Russians, he's being released. No, hang on. I'm about to get my point. Hang on a second. I'm about to get to it. Okay. I bring up all these things that are going on in the world right now, stuff that's just popping off immediately. Okay. Some of it's been building for years, like the whole KSM, plea deal situation. Some of it's popping off in the past 48 to 72 hours. Some of it's popping off within the past 24 hours. And yet nobody is hearing boo one word from Kamala Harris, what she thinks about all this, and what her opinions are of the matter. No. All right, I'll give you this much. She may not set U.S. policy on Israel attacking or getting attacked. I'll give you that much. But I don't think it's gaslighting to ask a very reasonable question. What is her opinion in this matter? What is her role in all this? Is she consulting with the president? If she is consulting with the president, what's she telling him? What counsel is she giving? I mean, she's the one that's made the statement. She's the last one in the room with the president when major decisions get made. When things go down, she's there. You're right. She can't make statements that contradict policy, but that doesn't mean she can't give her opinions on it. I mean, after all, she is the presumptive nominee of her party running for president. These are foreign policy crises that are breaking out around the world right now. Does she not have opinions on this? Does she not have things she ought to say or maybe needs to say or wants to say? But no one is hearing boo one word from her. And if there is something coming out, it's very limited. Reporters are not being allowed. Reporters are trying to ask her questions. She's not taking them. And she's not saying anything. Well, she could say that. I don't think anyone's going to believe it, but she could say it. But here's in the end where I'm going with this. Up to now, I mean, there's been a really big question, a number of them with Kamala's elevation to being the nominee of the Democrat Party. Okay. And one of them is, when does she start answering questions, tough questions? People have been saying, when's she going to get interviewed by somebody's going to ask her tough questions? Okay. When is she going to do a press conference? When is she going to do whatever? Okay, fair enough. Let me modify that question. What is she going to do when foreign policy crises break out? Because, and again, it is my prayer that what is going on in the world does not escalate further than what it is. It's bad enough right now, but all this stuff right now is a powder keg, and it wouldn't take much to throw a match in the middle of the whole thing and watch it all just blow up. Okay? So like I say, I do not want to see things get any worse in the world than what they are. If anything, I want to see all of it de-escalate. Okay? I really do. I mean, I believe you ought to be prepared to do whatever you need to do to defend your country. I'm also of the hope that you never have to do whatever you need to do to defend your country. That by peaceful negotiation, you never have to see it get to that point. But foreign policy is about to come roaring back into this race. Or maybe not roaring back in. It's going to inject itself between now and November 5th. This is just the precursor. And I don't know that Kamala Harris, I mean, a lot of people are speculating, right or wrong, that Kamala is going to try and skate through this thing all the way to November and never really have to answer any tough questions, never sit down for any tough interviews, etc., and so on. Okay? I don't know that circumstances are necessarily going to let her be able to do it. I really don't. She's going to try. She's really going to try. I was thinking about the other day what she reminds me of, and I came up with another nickname for her. She is the cotton candy candidate. All fluff, no substance. Just like a roll of cotton candy. You can try and consume it, leaves you unsatisfied because there's no substance to it. It's all fluff. She is the cotton candy candidate. I don't know that events going on in the world are going to give her the chance to be able to do the whole, I'm Kamala and I'm cool, vote for me on November 5th. No, people are going to want to know what you think about all this stuff. They're going to want to know what your position is. They're going to want to know what you're going to do to forward the interests of the United States of America and to best protect its citizens. What are your views on these things? Sooner or later, what she did with that little tarmac statement, it's not going to work and it's not going to last. And I'm not the only one that is of that conclusion. Glenn Greenwald, independent journalist, from his Twitter page, quote, "The complete lack of interest in what Kamala thinks or believes, indifference by most media, Democrat partisans, and the DNC loyal jokes that call themselves the left is glaring. Beyond identity politics and culture war candy, she hasn't had to say a single substantive thing." Now, let me also say this. If she's not having to say anything yet, I will argue that is Trump's fault. Okay? But I'm going to do a little sidetrack here, but I think this is worth talking about. There is a understandable worry among folks who are supporting the Trump campaign, I'm being one of them, full disclosure, that, I don't want to put this, there is not yet a laser-focused effort to expose Kamala Harris's record as vice president, as a presidential candidate in 2020, as a senator, as a prosecutor out in San Francisco, as the Attorney General of California. There is not a laser-focused effort to expose her record and let people see it for what it is and make up their own mind. Kamala Harris is a worse candidate than Joe Biden on any number of different levels. Okay? In one sense, she's the Michael Dukakis of the 21st century. Dukakis was a Massachusetts liberal for his time, and when George Herbert Walker Bush and his very effective campaign team painted and showed the American people what he was, Bush went on to like a 400 vote victory in the Electoral College. Now, I'm not saying Trump's going to win by that margin if he wins. I think he's going to win. But she is much like Dukakis in the sense that she, as opposed to being a Massachusetts liberal, she's a California liberal in the 21st century. And I'm telling you, that is not gonna, if Trump and his people effectively laser focus on exposing her record and let the American people see it, I don't care what the press is trying to do, pulling her across the finish line. It ain't gonna work. However, up to now, if Kamala Harris is not being forced to answer questions, I put that one on Trump and his campaign team. There are events that are happening in the world right now where they ought to be putting out the question, okay, Kamala, here's where we're at on. What do you think? What is your response to this? Make her dance to the tune you play. Don't wait for her to stake out a position on it. Make her answer based on your questioning. Just my thoughts on the matter. Greenwald has one more tweet, and I'll put this up here. The Middle East is on the verge of a massive escalation involving several different countries. The Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, vowed that the U.S. would intervene in the war to protect Israel, but neither the president nor the vice president have said a word about this. Who is running the U.S. government? And that, I'm sorry, that's a perfectly legitimate question. I mean, like I said, right now, that whole region is a powder keg. It wouldn't take much for it to go off. Yeah. I don't care about the color of her skin. I don't. It's a side issue. Let's focus on her record. Let's put it out there. I mean, to the extent that you're, I mean, again, for what it's worth, to the extent that you're telling the African American community, yeah, she's trying to pass herself off as something that she's not. All right, that's useful, but in the long run, it does not have that much utility. Okay. Oh, no, Matthew, contrary to what you think, I really don't care about the color of her skin. I really don't. So if that helps you sleep at night, knock yourself out. I don't give a tinker's damn about the color of her skin. I don't care who she slept with. I don't care if she's not sleeping with anyone. I don't care. I want to know what her issues are. I want to know what her positions are. Oh, and they're going to. They will. I got a feeling I know what the answer is going to be. Yeah, agreed. I don't necessarily disagree with you on this, Christian. I really don't. Let's focus on what does she believe? What does she want? Because right now she is desperately, and I mean desperately trying to erase her record. She doesn't want anybody looking into it. She doesn't want people digging stuff up. She doesn't want anything like that being done. This is a good point. She will literally pander to anybody. And she is flip-flopping on stuff already. Oh no, I'm not for banning fracking. We've got you on video saying, yeah, you're absolutely for banning fracking. What do you mean you're not? Oh, now you're not? What are you doing? A John Kerry here? I was for the 87 billion before I was against it. I mean, is this what you're doing now, Kamala? Really? I mean, just absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, I have a feeling foreign policy is about to seriously inject itself into this race. And again, I do not want to see things escalate beyond where they are, but foreign policy is going to rear its head in this race, and when it does, her trying to skate past and not tell you what she thinks or what she wants to do or how she would handle the situation, that's not going to work. That is just not going to work. TBA over on Rumble says Kamala is never going to answer tough questions, let alone any question without. No, I'm not even worried about how she laughs. I don't care about that either. That's irrelevant to me. Again, let's get laser focused. What is she doing? What does she believe? What does she want to do? And make her defend her record. Not the record that she wants you to know about now. No, here's what you said in 2020, in 2021, in 2022, in 2023, and 2024. Here's what you said when you were a member of the U.S. Senate. Here's what you did when you were the Attorney General. Here's what you did when you were the DA out in San Francisco. Yeah, my friend, I think you're right. I think you are right. I think you're absolutely right, my friend. There's a lot going on, and the dots are starting to get connected. So anyway, that's my point. I just don't think much longer she is going to be able to just skate on by and not answer questions about certain issues going on in the world. So we'll see. Anyhow, it's about 20 minutes after 8. And let me shift gears a moment. We'll shift gears to a new topic. But before we do, if you are here for the very first time tonight, and you happen to be wondering, who is this handsome devil in the fedora? Well, my name is Brian Tripp, and I am the Front Porch Conservative. I am sometimes known as the beau in the chapeau. I am sometimes called the common man with common sense. And this live stream is called Chattin on the Porch. We get together Monday through Thursday at 7:30 Eastern, hang out together, talk about things. We give our views. We have people who agree. We have people like Matthew Pip who disagree. And you know what? Matthew, you're welcome here as much as you want to. My only rule is no abuse of your fellow chatters. You can take whatever shots at me you want to. I don't care. I signed up for the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune when I started hosting this show. But, so long as you don't get abusive, the mods don't throw anybody out. When you start abusing the chatters, they will put you out. Short of that, you can say whatever you want. I don't care. We are on Rumble. We are on Twitter. We are on YouTube. So if you wouldn't mind, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, please share the link around, hit the bell for notifications, leave some comments, do everything else. So with that, we will move on to a new topic. And this one's been around for a while, but it got a really harsh reminder of what's going on, or the evidence. How do I want to say this? We got a harsh reminder of the consequences. Did you guys happen to see the young lady from Italy who's a boxer and had a match against a biological man who says he's a woman? Did you guys hear about this? I'll tell you what, if ever there was, and there have been Leah, the whole Leah Thomas controversy in swimming, which got Riley Gaines into the public arena on this question. It's drawn out people on both sides. People who are on the left are unhappy about the fact that biological men are competing in women's sports, etc. For example, Martina Navratilova, which I've got one of her tweets pulled up here in a second. We'll take a look at it. But this has now been going on for a while. So now we have the Olympics, the biggest stage in the world for sports of varying kinds. And a female boxer from Italy went into a fight with I'm not even going to use the word woman. She went into a fight with a biological man. And the fight lasted about 46 seconds. We've got some clips of it. And the young lady from Italy is named Angela Carini, and she is in a fight with Iman Khalif. Okay. The Italian boxer is wearing blue. The gentleman is wearing red. Here's a little bit of how it went. We've got 2 or 3 clips of this thing, and then we got an article to get to.
Solid straight right hand from Khalif there.
And at that point, the young lady tapped out, for lack of a better way of saying it. She threw in the towel. Now, that's the proper parlance. Here's another clip. This one runs about 24 seconds. This is pre-fight.
And some quick replays of the very short-lived action in the women's welterweight bout there between
Women's welterweight, my rear end.
Angela Carini and Iman Khalif. Iman Khalif taking the win.
Look at the look on this guy's face. Let me back that up a second. Look at that. Look at that look. Let me see if I can try and do my best to enlarge that a little bit for you guys. Look at that. That is... that's just, I'm sorry, that's just wrong. That is just absolutely wrong. Anyway, let me get back to the clip here. 1 second.
Carini choosing to abandon the bout.
Yeah. Carini is like, don't even touch me. He just snapped her hand away from the ref. Now watch this. Try like, hey, good fight. Got one more clip.
Plays of the very short-lived action. Plays of the very
46 seconds. That's how long this fight lasted. And now to the article. This is from the Gateway Pundit. And you see, Matthew? Oh, well, first of all, we're not losers, but thank you very much. You don't need to call us that. Yeah. See, there are places where we can agree. Oh, I want to see this happen. I absolutely want to see this happen. Anyhow, story from the Gateway Pundit. Quote, this is unjust. Biological male boxer viciously beats female opponent and forces her to quit in tears within seconds of the woke Olympics. From Cullen Lindbarger, we have the following. This is the future the Democrats, led by Kamala Harris, want for all female sports in America. The Paris Olympics erupted in controversy again on Thursday after a biological man easily prevailed in an Olympic boxing match after smacking around a much smaller and weaker woman for just under a minute. This allows the Olympic organizers cruelly insulting Christians during the opening ceremonies with a Last Supper reenactment involving drag queens. As the Daily Mail reported, the boxing bout between Italian Angelina Carini and her Algerian opponent, Iman Khalif, lasted 46 seconds, with Carini dropping her helmet onto the floor while quitting and shouting, "This is unjust." Matter of fact, I'm going to pop over to that Daily Mail article for a second. Hang on. Because they probably got a little more detail and a little less bias than the Gateway Pundit. No offense to the Gateway Pundit. The 25-year-old refused the handshake and fell to the canvas sobbing, having just received 2 punches from Khalif, who had been banned from a major boxing contest before the Olympics. Wait a minute. This Joker had been banned before the Olympics got started? How the hell was he even in the boxing match? All right, maybe we're going to find out here in a minute. Let's get on to it. Khalif was thrown out of last year's World Championships after failing testosterone tests carried out to establish gender qualifications. For God's sake. After the match was stopped, the referee raised Khalif's hand in the air, but a visibly furious Carini yanked her own hand away from the fight official and walked off. Ignoring the Algerian, The Italian fighter then plunged to her knees and burst into tears as she said she had never felt such strong blows in a contest before. Speaking after the match, the heartbroken Italian said, "I am used to suffering. I've never taken a punch like that. It's impossible to continue. I'm nobody to say it's illegal. I got into the ring to fight, but I didn't feel like it anymore after the first punch. I started to feel a strong pain in my nose. I didn't give up, but a punch hurt too much, and so I said enough. I'm leaving with my head held high." Going a little further into this article. She said she did not walk away from the fight as a protest against her opponent's inclusion, but that was a decision for the Olympics to consider. Carini was taken away for medical assessment to examine the seriousness of her facial injuries, which included a bruised nose. Carini added, "I entered the ring and I told myself that I have to take out all of myself independently from the person I had in front of me. And honestly, I don't care. I said to myself, this is the Olympics. Independently from all controversy, I just wanted to carry on and win. I am not one that easily surrenders. Even if they told me, let's not fight, I would not have accepted it. I'm a fighter. My father taught me to be a warrior. When I am in the ring, I use that mindset, the mindset of a warrior, a winning mindset. This time, I couldn't make it. You saw my nose start bleeding. I didn't lose tonight. I just surrendered with maturity. I wish her to carry on until the end and that she can be happy. I am someone who doesn't judge anyone. I am not here to give judgments. I'm simply entered into the ring to fight and to fight for my dream. It didn't happen. Evidently, God and my father wanted this, and I accepted it. I am not in the position of saying this is right or wrong. I am not. I did my job as a boxer, entering the ring and fighting. I didn't manage to, and I am exiting with my head held high and with a broken heart. I am a mature woman. The ring is my life. I've always been instinctive, but when I feel something is not going well, it's not a surrender, but having the maturity to stop. Okay. First of all, I'm not going to sit here and make any dispersions on the character of this young lady, Angelina Carini. And she, quite obviously, from her comments, is not trying to be any kind of cultural warrior in this discussion about whether biological men should be competing in women's sports. Okay? I think, all things considered, she handled it about as well as could be expected. From my perspective, though, she should never have been put in the position where she had to quit because she was up against a biological male. And how you solve that problem is very simple. You don't let biological males compete in women's sports. I don't care if somebody wakes up in the morning and says, man, I feel like a woman, and says, okay, yesterday I was Bob, now I'm Barbara, I want to go do a woman thing. No. You're a biological man. You have all the physical advantages of being a biological man. And yet you're going to inject yourself into women's sports to do what? To be more successful than you might otherwise be if you participated in male-only sports? Leah Thomas is celebrated as some kind of great swimmer. Hate to tell you this, before Leah became Leah, Leah was a mid swimmer, if that. Well, Matthew, you can disagree with my assessment of it. That's perfectly fine. But that's what I'm saying on the matter. No, you don't let biological men participate in women's sports. And I thought this was going to be, well, no, I shouldn't say that. I had understood that the IOC was not going to be letting this sort of thing happen. Apparently, I was wrong on that one, or at least what I was reading about anyway. But I mean, how long are we going to let this continue? I mean, we've got reports, and I've got another one here. Let me find it real fast. Yeah, here it is. 17-year-old female volleyball player who was paralyzed with brain damage after a brutal spike from a transgender opponent slams the Olympics. By Jim Hoft, we have the following. Okay. The Paris Olympics erupted in controversy again on Thursday after a biological man easily prevailed in an Olympic boxing match by smacking around a much smaller and weaker woman for just under a minute. This follows the Olympic organizers. Okay, all right. The uproar comes on. Let me get a little further into this article. What I'm looking for here. Now, all right, here it is. Now, a volleyball player left partially paralyzed by a transgender opponent has slammed the Olympics over its boxing controversy. Peyton McNabb was 17 when a ball spiked by a trans opponent with force struck her in the face, threw her to the ground, and shut her off her consciousness. In an exclusive interview with the Daily Mail, McNabb expressed her disgust over the current state of women's sports. Quote, "It's disgusting that two boxers who failed gender tests have been cleared to fight women at this year's games in Paris. There is a biological difference between trans women and biological women that cannot be ignored. McNabb fears that other female athletes could suffer injuries far worse than hers if these policies continue unchecked. It's dangerous to have two sexes competing together. It's just not okay. I am personally disgusted by this. This is morally wrong, and it's evil. Women have worked so hard and trained tirelessly to get all the way to the Olympics, only to be put in harm's way," McNabb lamented. "It used to be illegal for men to beat up women, and now it's being televised for everyone to see. It's such a weird reality we are now living in." Ooh, that's a good point. That's a really good point. I want to read that one again. "It used to be illegal for men to beat up women, and now it's being televised for everyone to see. It's such a weird reality we are now living in." Oh, man, that's a great point. That's an absolutely great point. How long is this going to continue before somebody gets killed? I'm sorry. The sanctioning bodies for these events, be it the IOC or whatever individual sport you're talking about, I'm sorry, somebody has got to put a stop to this. And no, I'm not talking about laws necessarily, okay? I'm talking about individual sanctioning bodies that govern certain sports need to start making rulings on this stuff, or somebody's going to get killed. You had a young lady, a valiant young lady, by the way, with a very strong, fighting, tough spirit in this Angelina Carini, goes into a boxing match with the understanding she's going up against a biological male, doesn't make any judgments about it, at least according to her public statements, goes into the match, and 46 seconds in, and after several punches, realizes there's no way. There's no way. And, this is just madness. Somebody is going to get killed. I mean, is that what it's going to take? Is that what it's going to take? Well, Matthew, I don't necessarily disagree with this. And actually, if she had done this, this just might have made the point for everybody. Maybe that action by itself would be the thing that finally gets some of this madness stopped. You can't do that to another female boxer. Oh yeah? If that's a female boxer, how come they've got how come they have testicular injuries due to my boot in their balls? Just saying. Okay, hang on. I have been asked to check my tweets. Give me 1 second, folks. Do. Hang on. Hold on. Oh, this is interesting. Hang on just a second. Thank you, Miss Gypsy. We will pop this up here in just 1 second. Now, this is a good. Oh, well, okay. The question is asked: did she know her opponent was trans before boxing? Okay, Matthew, I'll take you at your word on this one. I'm not saying I have not seen this one way or the other, so I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you that you know what you're talking about on this one. Yeah, supposedly she knew before she ever walked in the ring. So, okay, hang on a minute. We've got some. Apparently, the victor of the match, this Iman Khalif from Algeria, who is biologically male with XY chromosomes, will compete with another woman on Saturday, facing off against Hungarian boxer Luca Anna Hamori. Ooh, man, the IOC has got to stop this. Look, I don't care what I don't, at this point, as far as I'm concerned, the people running the Olympics on this, just stop any further matches. This guy is going to get some woman killed. Yeah, oh no, I agree with you on that. Carini was just trying to compete. Was absolutely just trying to compete. I'm not, like I said, I've got no bone to pick with her in this. As far as I'm concerned, she's neutral. My complaint is with the IOC. This shouldn't be happening. I'm sorry. And even if it weren't the Olympics, I don't care if it's boxing, tennis, swimming, cycling. I don't care. I don't care what sport it is. You do not let biological men compete against women. I'm trying to remember if it was a video, or if it was for a front porch brunch that I got into this subject, and the feminist, and this was maybe a year or so ago, and I kept asking the question, where are the feminists in this? Because if this were, I shouldn't say the old days, if this were a while ago, feminists would be just pissed as hell and raising hell over this. Where are they? Now, maybe they are, and they're just not being listened to. I mean, for example, you've got, let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, here it is. Martina Navratilova, legendary world tennis player. Exactly right. This is all on the IOC and those in power who make the rules. It's a travesty and makes a mockery of all Olympic sports. Can't disagree with her. Cannot disagree with Martina on this one. And for the record, Martina is she would probably qualify herself as a very strong advocate of the LGBTQ plus community. Okay. Even she's out there saying, this is nuts. We can't be letting this happen. I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, the IOC needs to stop this. No, just stop it. No, the match on Saturday, forget it. Cancel it. Just cancel it. This has got to stop. Somebody has got to take a stand. And I'm not trying to be dramatic about this. I'm serious. Somebody's going to get killed. And is that what it's going to take? Is that what it's going to take for finally everybody to come to their senses? At least on this. I mean, some of y'all know that I am a fan of stock car racing. Okay. There are safety and innovation is one of the things that the governing board that handled the NASCAR has focused on now for 20 plus years. You want to know when they really got invested in it? When Dale Earnhardt Sr. got killed at Daytona in 2000. What do we have to have here? The female sports equivalent of Dale Earnhardt getting killed before people start saying enough's enough? Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. I got a buddy of mine. At work who'd probably have loved to have a conversation with you. He loves to go to dirt tracks. Loves to go to dirt tracks and watch sprint car races. Loves it. And he's probably been out to Terre Haute, Indiana a time or two. Well, yeah, and that's another point. I mean, Adam, hang on. I'm having a brain. Adam Petty, fourth generation driver of the legendary Petty family, went into a wall up at Loudon, New Hampshire, dead. But it was finally when they lost Dale Earnhardt, when finally the sport of stock car racing started really enforcing rules on safety. Safer barriers, Hans devices you get my point. And it's not that they cared any less about Adam Petty or anybody else who had died before Earnhardt, but it was that one tragic death to an icon of their sport that finally forced them to be like, okay, we got to start doing something about this. I got a bad feeling that's what's going to happen here. And I really hope I'm wrong. I really do. I really do hope I'm wrong. Oh, goodness. Give me a second, folks. I need to clear out some stuff, and then we'll move on to the next topic. $46 seconds. That's all that poor girl could last. Oh, yeah. By the way, I think it was Gypsy who mentioned this, but I'll pop this up on screen. Mike Tyson says he'll box this guy from Algeria, and any proceeds raised go to battered women's charity. Good on you, Tyson. Good on you, Mike Tyson. That's all I'm saying. Oh, I got to put this one up. This is from Carrie Smith of the Deprogram channel. A dear, wonderful human being and just one class act. The smirk of a man falsely competing as a woman who just punched a woman in the head, causing her to quit only 46 seconds into a fight, shattering Olympic dreams. This is the smirk of woke ideology, thinking it has conquered truth on earth. Duper's delight on the world stage. Sadly, my friend, you may be right. You may be right. Goodness. Crazy the days in which we find ourselves. Crazy the days. Crazy the days. All right. No, this last I'm gonna say the last that I'm not gonna lie, that one just depressed me to death. It really did. Tell you what, folks, I'm gonna. Oh, hang on. Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can find this real fast. Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. We got some. I don't know if this is what you call late breaking, but it's definitely. This is pretty cool. The world-renowned fighter Jake Paul has tweeted out something from earlier this afternoon. This is his message to the Italian boxer Angelina Carini. Although your dreams couldn't come true today because of the crazy agendas that are at play in our world at the moment, I would love to offer you to fight on an MVP undercard to show the world your talents on a fair platform and not against a man. Internet helped this find her. That's cool. That is cool. That is really cool. Good on you, Jake Paul. Good on you, brother. All right, folks, I tell you what, I had thought about getting into the topic of Trump at the National Association of Black Journalists, but I'm not going to lie. After going through that stuff about Angelina Carini, I don't have the heart. I really don't. And I apologize to you guys because I don't like short shrifting you, but I don't have the heart to do it. Anyway, tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and bring this in for a landing. And I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. And this has been good, and it's been fun and therapeutic, I think, for myself and also for everybody. So for all of you who are here, including Mr. Matthew Pip, thank you for being here, although we may not agree on a whole lot. Glad to have you in the audience. And come on back, by the way. Yeah, well, I'm going to be here Saturday morning. Don't worry. I will be here Saturday morning. That's just what I was about to say. I disagree with you. I'll disagree with you on this point, but we can maybe get into that on Saturday. Who knows? We're going to go ahead and bring it in. I'm going to be back this Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. for a live stream we do on the weekend called Front Porch Brunch. And it's topics that maybe I didn't get a chance, or we didn't get a chance to talk about through the week. And there's quite a few things we're going to get into. So I'll tell you what, we're going to do that. I want to thank all you guys for being here tonight for chatting on the porch. And I'll let you know about the movie discussion. As soon as Tracy tells me when that is up, we will get into it. I will let you know what date and time it's going to be posted on her channel, which is Keto and Crime. And by all means, I will share it. But anyway, thank you guys for being here tonight. If you're not subscribed to me on Rumble and YouTube, please go ahead and give me a sub. I'd really appreciate it. Also, remember to hit the bell for notifications. Hit the thumbs up. Again, Mr. Algorithm seems to look favorably upon me when you do that sort of thing. I'll take all the likes I can get on my live stream. And I want to thank everybody who's been subscribing lately, both on YouTube and on Rumble. I'll tell you what, the Rumble subscribers are just, it's slow and steady, like 2 a day here, 3 a day there. It's all cool. And I appreciate everyone who's subscribing to the channel, regardless of which platform you're doing it on. It's really appreciative to me. I genuinely appreciate it. We're always trying to work to make this thing better. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight. We'll be back Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m. And again, this live stream is known as Chattin on the Porch. Saturday morning will be Front Porch Brunch. So from all of us, thank you so very much. I love you guys. We'll see you Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. And as we leave, remember the words of that great American philosopher, Tom T. Hall, when he said, "It's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, and more money." Love you guys. We'll see you Saturday morning.